Hey everybody, welcome back to Chaotic Goods. My name is Eric, and today we're taking a look at what could easily be the best TCG sleeve on the market. Now that is saying a lot because there are a lot of really good TCGs out there, but I think DuelSpec has what it takes to be crowned the king of all TCG sleeves, assuming you can get your hands on them. Now without further ado, let's dive right in and see why I think these sleeves could easily take over the TCG community. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is just DuelSpec themselves. DuelSpec is primarily a sleeve-focused company. They do have some playmats and they have some dice specifically for Vanguard, but their main focus looks to be sleeves. Now, the biggest problem is that a lot of their products are sold out and have been sold out for some time. I bought these sleeves about a month and a half ago, and about a week after I purchased them, they've just been completely sold out on their website. Now that doesn't mean that you can't get their sleeves from other sources such as Amazon or eBay, but you do have to take into account other prices that don't necessarily reflect their website. So keep that in mind. Now, talking about prices, well, how much do they cost? On DuelSpec's website, they have their XD sleeve, which we'll get into in a moment, that are $10.99. And then they have their, what I'm going to call OG sleeve. So it's their first iteration of sleeves that are $10.49. And honestly, I think these are extremely good prices for the sleeves you're getting. They fall right into that below average cost for sleeves, which is really good. Now, keep in mind, you do have to pay shipping on their website, assuming they ever restock. And if you're buying elsewhere, such as a vendor from their website or eBay or Amazon or another third-party site, you have to take into account they may change that price on you. I did some investigation and I found the extra durability sleeves on Amazon for about $17, which is a lot higher than their website, and you still have to pay some shipping on that. Would I recommend buying them for that price? Absolutely not, but that is entirely up to you. Now, what is the difference between their original sleeve and their XD sleeve? Well, there's several differences, and those differences are actually very important. So, main difference we're going to talk about is the texture of the card. Now, I have red here, which is the OG, and this rose gold, which is the XD. Now, if we take a look a little bit closer here, you can see that there is a texture that is not on the OG sleeves. Now we'll just do one at a time here for you. So we have the OG sleeve, and there is a light texture to it that's a little bit grainy, but honestly it feels pretty smooth. Now when we look at the XD sleeve, just in the light here, you can see that grainy texture. It still feels smooth to the touch, but if I scratch it, there is a noticeable grainy texture to it, unlike their standard sleeve. Now, another big difference is going to be the size. The XD sleeve stands for extra durability, and it is 0.2 millimeters thicker than their standard sleeve. So, if you're sleeving 100 cards, that 0.2 millimeters is going to go a long way, because 0.2 times 100, you're looking at 20. That's almost a couple cards worth of thickness that you're adding on top of it when you're using the XD versus the standard. Now, with the size difference of 0.2 millimeters between the XD and the standard sleeve, there's also a 0.5 millimeter difference between the sleeves. Now, the XD is 66 millimeters by 91.5 millimeters, and then the standard sleeve is 66.5 millimeters by 91 millimeters. So you're sacrificing 0.5 millimeters for on each end for both sleeve. So just something to keep in mind if you are a size nut when it comes to your sleeve like I am. Now, where do these sleeves fall in line compared to other sleeves? Well, price wise, like I mentioned, they do fall below that average. When you take all of the sleeves out there on the market, give them an average. The average is about $13, give or take. So these do fall below that, assuming you can get them at their $10.99, $10.49 price. When we're looking at the size of the sleeve, these are actually in between Dragon Shields and Katanas in terms of that thickness. Now, Dragon Shields, their thickness is 0.21 millimeters, so they are on the low end of how thick they are. And then you have Katanas at the high end at 0.27, or if you wanted to throw Dragon Slayers into that, at 0.32 millimeters. So they do fall between those sleeves at a good thickness. You know, not too thin, not too thick. Pretty important when it comes to sleeving your cards and keeping them protected. Now, when it comes to the size, they are 1 millimeter longer than Game Genic and Katana sleeves, and 1 millimeter shorter than Dragon Slayers and Dragon Shields. So for me, that's a huge win because I like the feel of Katanas and I like the feel of Game Genic sleeves, but I don't like how big Dragon Slayers are or Dragon Shields are, and they're just a little bit too long in my opinion. These fall in that nice little middle ground where they're just right. Now, a huge thing to note in the difference of shuffle feel for the OG sleeves and the XD. So I'm gonna just do a quick little shuffle test here to kind of show you now. These sleeves are very broken in. Originally, when I got them, it was a nice, smooth shuffle feel. I was really sold on these OG sleeves. But however, over time, as I've used them more and more, because this is my primary deck for Grand Archive, I shuffle this a lot, I play with this a lot, and the sleeves have sort of lost their smooth shuffle. Now, that may happen to a lot of other sleeves over time. I really haven't had it happen to me too much, but these, I've sort of lost my love for the shuffle feel of the standard sleeves. It's not as smooth, and you can see I'm kind of like forcing the cards back into a nice square, and I'm not a big fan of that. I kind of want them to just fall into place. So we'll just do a quick little shuffle with here of my other Grand Archive deck with the XD sleeves, and you can see is a lot smoother of a shuffle feel where I'm not trying too hard to put the cards back into their nice structure of that square or rectangle shape. They kind of just glide right in when I separate them. There's a little bit of, scrunching going on, but not nearly as much. And I've had these cards sleeved for maybe about a 2-week time frame because I did have to order the XD sleeves and wait for them to arrive in the mail. But these just shuffle so much better. Now let's talk about the differences in the finish or the texture on the cards. I have several cards here. Now we do have our OG sleeve, and I'm gonna tear this up later in the video. And again, you can kind of see the not so grainy texture on the OG DuelSpec. Now compared to an XD DuelSpec sleeve, you can really tell the texture on this card. On the back here, this is a Game Genic Matte Prime. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but trust me, this has a lot more smoother finish to it than either of these sleeves. So I would say it's more smooth than the OG sleeve, which, to each their own. That may be something that you enjoy. I honestly don't like it because it makes stacking your cards annoying because then they do this and they fall, and I've never experienced that with either DuelSpec sleeve. Now here is a Dragon Shield sleeve. Now the Dragon Shield sleeve, and you can kind of see the Union Arena there, it's a little bit opaque, is not as grainy as the XD sleeve from DuelSpec. So I'm just going to kind of do a quick side-by-side here and let the light kind of bounce off and reflect and show that to you. I honestly think this has a more granular texture on the back of it than the Dragon Shields. And then we do have Dragon Slayers. It's probably a little bit hard to tell in white, but I would say these are about the same texture as Dragon Shields. You are looking at XD having much more texture on the back, which is it's a nicer experience, a good shuffle feel, and it's just good hand feel. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you is just going to be that stretch and rip test to kind of see that durability of these cards. Now again, DuelSpec, we have our OG and then our XD, so the extra durability. Now, I'm just going to kind of take this OG sleeve and I'm going to do the good old put your fingers in between the plastic and stretch, and we'll kind of see what happens. So, fingers in between, and that was the easiest tear of my life. So, split, I didn't even really have to apply much pressure before it just came apart. And I really feel, I really don't want to do this because I really like these sleeves, but for the sake of the video, we're gonna tear it apart. All right. So again, fingers, and honestly, that tore just as easy. I'm a little bummed by that, but honestly, I don't think it's the end of the world. In order for your cards to tear like that, like you have to be putting them through some hell. And I don't know a lot of TCG players that just straight up abuse their cards in the manner of which you would just be destroying your sleeves like this. I mean, yeah, sure, you know, maybe if you do the right angle and you push down hard enough because you're just sloppy shuffler, yeah, you know, that'll ruin it. But even if the sleeve doesn't rip, you're still like probably gonna swap that sleeve out anyway. It's just one of the tests that, like, I understand we do it for the sake of durability, but I don't think it really proves a point, if I'm being entirely honest with you. All right, so that's kind of DuelSpec sleeves in a nutshell. Now, I'm just gonna do a quick pros and cons of DuelSpec sleeves and why I think that they really are the best sleeve that you can buy. Now, the first pro is gonna be the XD shuffle feel. I absolutely cannot get enough of the XD sleeves. When I purchased them, I purchased about 7 boxes of just different colors because I really liked the color options that they had available. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna put a video out on these, so I might as well grab several. And I am honestly happy I did because, like I mentioned, they have been sold out on their website. And I don't feel like paying the additional $7, $8 that other people are charging for them. Another pro is going to be the price. I think if you can get these from their website, if they ever restock, which I really hope they do, or if you can get them from a vendor or someone who's not totally ripping you off on eBay or Amazon, I think these sleeves are 100% worth it. They're just worth the price, I would say, as long as it's below $15. The reason I say $15 because that's about the top end for katanas or dragon shields, and I think these are miles better than katana and dragon shields. And if you're gonna pay $15 for those, I would recommend that you pay $15 for these because they are just so much better. Now, the huge con that we have to talk about is their availability. I know, again, you can buy them off of other websites. You can go to their website and find a vendor. Hopefully the vendor has the XD sleeves in stock because those are the far superior sleeve. But not being available on your website for what I've seen for about a month and a half in the standard or the XD sleeve is just a huge deal. Like, I hope they're not running into any sort of logistic issues with the things that are currently going on in America right now. But I hope DuelSpec is able to put more of their sleeves out because I think if they can do that, they can easily just clean the floor with Ultimate Guard and Dragon Shield sleeves. Second con is going to be the standard sleeve. The standard sleeve shuffle feel is not nearly as good as the XD shuffle feel. Again, I liked it originally when I first got these sleeves. I thought they were really good, which is why I sleeved up this deck. You know, it's a fire deck. I sleeved it in red, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Once I'm done with this video, I'm gonna take these sleeves. I'm gonna take these cards out of these sleeves, and I'm gonna throw them in some XDs because the XDs are a lot better, just so much better. And yeah, you know, it's 50 cents less to buy these, but spend 50 cents and get these instead. Honestly, these are just better. Now, hopefully I was able to convince you on why I think the DuelSpec sleeves are the best sleeves on the market, you know, specifically the XD sleeves. I don't think the OG sleeves are the best sleeve. In a tier list, I think the OG sleeves would probably fall into maybe 5th place out of my sleeves. XD sleeves, they take the cake. If you can find them at a good price, absolutely do yourself a favor and buy a box. Use them, love them. They're the best sleeve on the market. And if you don't agree with me, let me know down in the comments below. You know, if you're a Dragon Shield fan, let me know why you love Dragon Shields. If you love katanas, let me know why you love katanas. I'm more than happy to, you know, put my opinion out there on the internet, and I would love to discuss with anybody who's willing to talk to me about why my opinion is wrong. All right, with all that out of the way, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a great day.